have both.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Rhino. What's up, everybody? Happy Monday. How's everyone doing? Bane, happy to see you, man. I'll give you a hell yeah.
Give me a hell yeah!
We'll get to the Kings in a minute. Yes, be glad for most of you that one was not on TV yesterday. That was a very difficult game. Oh, thanks, Bane. Yeah, my hat's on backwards. See, you just say the guy's name and he appears.
His name and he appears.
That's what he does. He's got to do his stuff, and that's okay. Bane, hope you're well. I got to respond to your email. I got it. Thank you. I will respond to you. We made it through Liam Palooza, by the way. For those that are interested, we made it through. I'm sore. My back is sore. My legs are sore. My mind hurts. My ears hurt, but we did it. It is over. If you want to get a flavor for Liam Palooza, so you can realize that I'm not over exaggerating what this thing is, go to my X page at Ryan_in_ Sacktown. I put a video up for all my Kings quarters to see that Liam Palooza is real. It is exhausting, but it was fun. So anyways, how was everyone's weekend? Hope it was well. Did you make it to Bennett's for some brunch? Did you take my advice? Hopefully you did. If you did not, good news. They got brunch next weekend. Go to bennettsrestaurants.com and you can check out all of their locations, 3 in all. Tonight's Wine and Dine Monday, under $70. Bottle of wine, 2 entrees, 2 very good entrees, by the way. Out the door. Also happy hour 2 to 6. They're sponsoring the show today, so thank you to them. Go to bennettsrestaurants.com for more information, reservations, gift cards, and so much more. You can check out also the full menus, the other specials. I love them. Hey, 4 o'clock today. Be back. Grant and I will be talking NFL, getting you ready for Monday Night Football. Also, we will be talking Kings. A lot of stuff going on in the Kings universe this weekend. If you caught the post-game show on Friday, we broke down the game against the Warriors. I'm not going to go as in-depth on that because I think we've covered it pretty well. It's preseason. Good for you, Patrick. You know what? That gets a hell yeah.
Give me a hell yeah!
Patrick, do me a favor. I had to text Grant about this. Why is it that the Giants had so much success running the football last week against Seattle? And maybe it just says how bad Seattle is, right? But then you come out last night and you throw the ball 3 times on your first possession. What's going on in New York, my man? Come on. They tried to battle back. Was not enough. But anyways, Grant and I, we're going to be talking about the Blazers game yesterday, which we're going to get to here in a second. We'll get back to Bane's comment because I want to put this into perspective. And again, I've said it the last week. Your Kings are in action again, by the way, tomorrow night. They're hitting the road. But think about this. Nobody's gotten hurt. Good thing, right? Nobody's gotten hurt in the games, and it's preseason. Small sample size. One of our big worries with this basketball team is showing up in games that they're playing an inferior opponent. Where's the internal motivation? Are you going to be better? Yesterday was a game Mike Brown expected to play the starters for 3 quarters, by the way. And that did not happen. And to your point, Bane, and we're going to talk in depth about this. In fact, we'll just go to this screen right now. The starters played well in the first 2 games, but not yesterday. But I liked what I saw from it's Jordan McLaughlin, Jordan, Bain, but that's all right. You did that on purpose, didn't you, Bain? And Alex Lynn. Yeah, let me help you wrap your minds around this really quick. And we do have some breaking Kings news that we're going to get to in just 1 second. The Kings starters were combined minus 100 yesterday in the plus minus column. Minus 100. Think about that for a second. Minus 100. You want to throw Malik Monk in there? Minus 117. The team just didn't show up. They were out physicaled by a team that is not as good as them. The Blazers are not very good. You remember what the Blazers did the day after Christmas last season in Sacramento? Well, it kind of looked like a rewind of that. And Mike Brown, we've got audio from it. I'm not going to loom on it too long because what's the point? Look, it's preseason. I go back to that, not making excuses, but I will say I'm a little concerned. I do not want to see a Kings team that can't beat the Kings. And yesterday, that's what we saw. Friday night, I thought the Kings' physicality was good. I thought that it was better than it was opening night on the preseason on Wednesday, but they didn't get to initiate their offense in the spots they did Wednesday on Friday. I said that a little confusing. On Wednesday, they started their offense exactly where they wanted to start it when your starting five was on the floor. Friday got pushed out a little bit more. Yesterday, DeAndre Ayton, Donovan Clingan push you around? Is that all it takes to be out physicaled? So anyways, we've got a full breakdown of the game. We'll get to it here in a minute. I would love to hear from all of you. We also have breaking news as well on the Kings roster. They just wrapped up practice and they have made a transition. The link is not working for you. Interesting, Condog. Let me put it right back here in the chat, dude. If you want to call, you are more than welcome to. It's a 60-minute show today, by the way, because Grant and I are going to be back at 4. So if you want to get in, now is the time to get in. Let's see. Andrew, what's up? Welcome back. Ryan, are you scared at all after the effort? Oh, sorry, I got scrolled up there. After yesterday's game. No, I am not scared. I'm not scared, but I have a little heartburn about the fact that it's a trend. This is a trend that is now bleeding in to this preseason. If this wasn't preseason, I would be a little bit more concerned. This is what the preseason's for, Andrew. But yeah, look at what the Kings did last year against teams they should have been beating, teams that were not nearly as talented as they were. And so to see him come out like that, and I'll say this, it's the middle of camp. You're basically through training camp now. You're almost through your preseason. You only got 2 more games. You're away tomorrow night. Then you've got 1 more. So I'm not going to chalk it up to legs. I'm not going to be lazy and say they're tired. But what I am going to say is you can't have a performance like that again the rest of this preseason, especially in a game where Mike Brown was going to continue playing the starters. He wanted to play them more, but there was no point in playing the starters anymore. The Kings were down by 33 at one point. 33. And actually, the bench guys brought the game a little bit closer. It ends up being 105-85, but that can't happen. And the fact that where's the fight? I'm going to ask that question. Where is the fight? Keon Ellis took 10 shots. I don't have a problem. It may be a little high for Keon, but 10 shots, I don't have a problem with Keon taking 10. You know what I have a problem with? Fox taking 11, Murray taking 10, DeRozan taking 10, and Sabonis taking 11. That's not enough shots. Where's the fight? Who's grabbing the basketball and saying, I'm putting this team on my shoulders. We're getting through this. Even if it is a preseason game. Again, not going to make too much out of it, but coming off of what we saw last year, a bit concerning. Definitely a bit concerning. Condog will get you in 1 second. Breaking news, Jalen McDaniels, not a surprise. He did not look great in either of the preseason games that he was a part of. Shams is reporting he is being traded to the San Antonio Spurs along with a second-round pick. I told you last week about this forward position and it being thin, and I've got another update on that here in a second in regards to Trey Lyles. But the forward position's thin. I told you Monty might not be done. Monty has left himself in a spot to be able to maneuver, pay attention to what other teams are doing. Who are they cutting? Does anybody else come available? Is there a move out there that still could be made? Look at the Karl Anthony Towns, Julius Randle trade that came out of nowhere. Not saying you're going to get a trade of that magnitude, but this roster, as it sits now, may not be the roster that rolls into opening day, or at least the guys that will be on the opening day roster. What it also does is open up a roster spot for anybody competing. And really, if you're going to look at anyone on this team that might be competing for that open roster spot, when you read between the lines and you look at Mike Brown's rotation the last couple of games, it's Isaiah Crawford. He's currently on a two-way deal. He's given the Kings the little things. Now, his numbers aren't flashy. He only had 3 points yesterday, but he's taking things off of guys' plates, like a Sabonis, like a Keegan Murray. That is what Mike Brown's looking for when it comes to the role players on this team. They don't need to come out and score 20 or 30 points. What they need to do is hustle. They need to get on the floor. They need to get deflections. They need to do the extra stuff to basically maximize the output that you can get out of your best players. That was part of the problem last year. You were asking your star players to do way too much. So Jalen was not looking good in camp. Didn't look. I expected him, and I love Jalen, by the way. He's part of the SDSU family. Love the guy. Think he's a hard worker. I hope he lands on his feet in San Antonio. But it was very clear that his style of play does not match up with the physical style of play that the Kings are trying to put on the court. Both his build and the way that he was getting in there, if you look at the tape, getting pushed around a little bit too easy. So this makes a lot of sense. Not a big surprise there. Also, this was on ESPN.com this afternoon. This is not news to me. ESPN saying Fox is not signing an extension this year. That's a tweet that I put out in June 24th. So it's not a surprise. I'm not sure why it's making the rounds today on ESPN. De'Aaron's going to try to maximize what he can get. He's betting on himself that he can get a Supermax extension, which he could still be eligible for if he makes an All-NBA team next season, start of next season. So no surprise there. Really nothing big to report on. And also, as part of that, as I said in that tweet, De'Aaron wanted to see how this roster develops. What did the Kings do? They go out and get DeMar DeRozan. So the roster is developing. De'Aaron was a very active part in that. I don't think this roster is done. So we can put that to bed. It does not mean De'Aaron's leaving Sacramento. It doesn't mean any of that. Now, I will say on the flip side, remember, if De'Aaron is not going to be part of the Kings' long-term plan, and there is absolutely zero indication or inclination that that is in the cards, but if that was to be part of the Kings moving forward, that they're going to do it without De'Aaron, then the clock starts ticking when this season ends, because you can't let De'Aaron Fox get away for nothing. Next year will be the last year on his contract. So keep your eyes posted to that. But again, no concern. This is not news to anybody that has been following this team closely. All right, let's go to the phones really quick. I bet my boy Corndog is going to want to talk about the Ohio State-Oregon game. And I've actually got some quick thoughts on that one as well. Corndog, what's up, dude?
Woo, man, what a classic that one was.
Is that what you're calling about? I knew you were calling about that.
Oh yeah, that is game of the year right now.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, both these guys were going toe to toe. We had a lot of physicality. We even had a player spitting on another player, getting ejected. Like, it had everything.
It did. And what did you make out of Dan Lanning bending the rules?
Hey, you know what? Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Dude, it was kind of brilliant. I'm not
Don't
for
hate
those
the
that
player, hate the game.
Okay, so for those that don't know what we're talking about, Dan Lanning sent a 12th defender onto the field, like literally right before the snap. How much time was left, Corn Dog? Like 9 seconds
This was
on
a
the
10
clock.
second.
10 seconds on the clock. He sent a 12th defender on purpose so the ball would get snapped and the time would run off the clock. And it ended up being like 5 seconds. So he loses or he gives up 5 yards to get 5 seconds off the clock, which basically gives Ohio State one play. I thought it was freaking awesome.
And right before that, there was the offensive pass interference, and Ohio State did not use their timeout. And it was a play that landed in bounds. Ohio State just did not pay attention to their clock at all. That entire drive. And
yeah,
I
don't disagree with that
yeah,
either.
like you can blame Dan Lane all you want, but he took advantage of Ohio State team that didn't know the rules and did not pay attention to their clock down the stretch. Execution, man.
I guess a lot of people say you're not trying unless you're cheating. It wasn't cheating, but
You know
it's
what?
kind of, what I would chalk it up to? It's like wrapping somebody up in the NBA so they don't shoot a 3.
Yeah.
To get 2 free throws if you're up 3.
I would rather Curry shoot 2 free throws than shoot a 3.
Right. So, anyways,
but even the first drive of the game, there was a Oregon interception that got called an Ohio State catching down. They thought he was catching down, but it actually was bobbling the ball, and it was an Oregon interception. And Ohio State ran a play really quick before it could get reviewed. So it goes both ways.
It does. It does indeed. Anything else stand out to you from the college football weekend?
We had BYU is for real. I mean, I had them, winning this Big 12 already, but I think more people are realizing they are for real. It is crazy how wrong Vegas was on them, because
that is a little crazy. You're right.
It was 4.5, I believe, was their over under. For you could have cashed that at the end of September when they were 5-0.
Yeah,
that's crazy how early you could have cashed that in. They usually Vegas is not this wrong this early, when it comes to totals like that.
Does it speak to the conference? Probably not, because they played some good competition. And
now they're at the easy point of their schedule.
Yeah, no, you're right. And then Texas, they roll over
Oklahoma. Oklahoma has a massive offense problem, like shocking. Like their defense, like Spears Jennings is incredible on defense. If I were him, I'm transferring to any place I can go and win a championship, because he's giving me like Minka Fitzpatrick level vibes. Like Spears Jennings at safety and defensive back is incredible at Oklahoma, but he needs an offense. Like the Tennessee game, I think he had like 14 tackles as a safety. Like he is a players.
Yeah, dude, you're taking some huge take, Corn Dog. Patrick Paulov's up like Bill Belichick.
Oh, like Bill Belichick.
Dude, you're taking some. I love it.
Bill Belichick is one of the best, man.
Yeah, just on to Tennessee. Yeah. So Georgia, Texas, that's the big one coming up. Who you got?
Man. I'm rolling with the Horns. I'm going hook 'em on that one. Texas is at home. Texas really doesn't play any tough road games in the SEC their first year, which is a blessing for them. Their biggest road test in the SEC doesn't come all the way. Well, maybe Vanderbilt, but besides that, it really doesn't come all the way till the end of the year when they play A&M and reignite that rivalry.
Yep.
Because the rest of because they had the Michigan road game, and Michigan just hasn't proven to have a quarterback anywhere. They have a lot of similar problems as Oklahoma, where they have a great defense, great secondary, but if that defense isn't generating points, it's coming from nowhere.
There you go. I'm not so sure, man. I think Georgia is going to come out hungry. Texas has been a little bit shaky. They look great this week, but they've struggled with some lesser opponents. And
Well, Georgia just struggled with Mississippi State.
I get it, but Georgia's coming off the Bama game, my man. Like
Bama may not even be that good.
yeah, I know they had to come back this weekend. I know.
I called Bama not making this playoff at the start and even at my midway kind of point. And yeah, Bama's may really not be that good. They got away with the Georgia comeback at home, and they got away with the South Carolina one at home. The only time they didn't get away with it was on the road in Nashville. And guess where they're going? Back to Tennessee to Knoxville. And their defense cannot hold a lead, and their offense does not know how to dominate time of possession like under Saban used to.
So why do you think BYU is getting so disrespected in the polls? They're only 13th.
It's honestly AP polls. If you've played any college football game back in the day before the playoff system and stuff, you knew it was where you started. Like if you took a team all the way down from the back, it would take forever for you to get to number one. Even if you ran the table as like, I don't know, a Western Kentucky or something, you might not get into the championship game if there's two other like power undefeateds. That's just how the AP poll is. It's where they started you, and they don't adjust afterwards. They don't like, okay, maybe this team really wasn't that good. Like, you know, how the schedule still says like, oh, they played a 13th ranked this, or, you know, a 10th ranked this. Like, it does. I care where you ranked at the end of the season, not where you were at the start of the season. Like, if you're ranked 25 and I beat you and you end up, you know, going 1-7, did I really beat a number 25 team? No, I beat like a number 80 team.
Yeah. When is the first college football playoff rankings
November.
Coming out? When is it?
November.
Okay.
That starts in November.
Okay.
There you go. That's where the real rankings. Honestly, though, kudos. We finally got Army and Navy ranked.
There you go.
Yeah, how about that? What a world we live in.
You know what? I love the fact that those programs are doing well. They're both usually coached very well. And I think you said it a week or two back. If we get to that time of the year when it's Army Navy and they are the only game on and they're both undefeated, that's going to be an amazing sight.
Oh, that's going to, yeah, that could compete for the college national championship as highest rated game.
Okay, now that's a hot take. You said that to Grant, and he agreed, and I was like, I don't know.
I think if they are both undefeated and a shot at the playoffs on the line, and it is the only game on, I think it has a shot to compete at that type of level, ratings wise.
All right, mark it down. Mark it down. October 14th, 2024. Corn Dog's doubling down on his take. We'll see if they stay undefeated.
Double down on it.
Anything on the Kings really quick before I cut you loose?
How about stop starting fights at the end of pre-games from the fans?
I didn't see it. So
I
don't pay attention to the fans.
The couple clips which we have during the Warriors one, it was afterwards. Like, it's a preseason game. I don't care if we lose by 50 or 40.
Dude, you know how you really piss off a Warriors fan? You rip the tags off their jerseys so they can't return them after the game. That's how you piss them off. So, all right, brother.
Kings are just going to find their groove. I mean, we have some roster shakeup. We're getting rid of McDaniels.
Do it at your own risk, Derek. Do it at your own risk, my man.
You know what? If you still can, Derek, bet that Bama does not make this playoff. I will strongly take that bet. If you can still do that midway through the point, if there's some bookie that will let you, because I see no reason why that's a great bet. Like, maybe even Georgia too, because if Georgia loses to Texas, they're looking at, they're already not going to make Atlanta. Like
Ole Miss is gone.
Ole Miss has a puncher's chance, but they have to run their table. Lucky for them, if they do run their table, they're going to beat some heavy hitters.
Yeah, we'll see. Hey, brother, I appreciate you. Only an hour show, so I'm going to cut you loose. But good job, man.
Later.
All right, dude. Good call by Corn Dog, giving us his college football update. I absolutely love it. Let's see. Kevin, what's up, man?
Acknowledge me.
I'm acknowledging you. How you doing today, my man? Dennis, he's always crunching the numbers. Dennis is in his office, his cubicle. He's got the mechanical calculator. The Kings have 5.8 million to trade for a player or sign. Yep, 5.8 million. Well, here's the thing, Dennis. There's so many different exceptions and things that the Kings might be able to use under the CBA. It could be more or less on that, but Monty McNair has a plan. We know that Monty McNair has a plan. He's stuck to his guns this far. I think the Kings, something will change at that forward position, probably sooner rather than later, because you can't roll into the season the way it is right now. And good news, by the way, a lot of people concerned about the 3-point shooting these first few preseason games. I'm not overly concerned about that. I'm more curious about what the number's going to be. I wish somebody in the damn credentialed media would say, Coach Brown, how many threes are you looking for this team to shoot a game? Ideally, what is the number, Coach? Because the first preseason game, it was like 27. Yesterday, it was 28. I'm cool with the three-pointers being right around 30, 35. In fact, when the Kings almost tripled their net rating last year, that's where the number was at. It didn't usually get above 40, and that's when they were dealing with a lot of injuries. They had guys out. And the Kings, regardless of, what you want to say about them being small, they've done decent. In fact, they've done better than decent. The first game against the Warriors, they absolutely dominated the paint. It was 62-22. Dominated it. Last night, even though they got pushed around inside and they had problems with Klingon and Ayton, the Kings still won the paint, 56-46. Coach Brown said after the game, he thought that some of the looks, the back cuts that they're looking for were there. Just missed. Now, the turnovers, 27 turnovers is insane. You can't have 27 turnovers. And I believe 9 were on the board after the first quarter. Credited to your starters. De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis together combined for 9 of them. 9. You throw Monk in there, make it 13 between the 3 of them. That the ball is in their hands 75% of the time when it matters. And the other 25% of the time, it's in DeRozan's hands. So that's a problem. That has to get cleaned up really quick while I'm thinking about it. I want to give a huge shout out to Jason Ross. He got honored yesterday before the game. 30 years of being in the business, covering the Kings, working with the G-Man, doing his show with Dave. They did a nice little sit down with him. They gave him a jersey. Congratulations, Jason. That dude works so hard, and he is such a great guy, too. He makes time for everybody. So, Jason, I know I shot you something on the X and you responded, but I just want to say here, too, congratulations, man. Can't wait to see what's next because he ain't done at 30. That's going to go to 40, hopefully 50. So, good job by Jason. So, anyways, getting back to yesterday's game, what were your concerns? What were your takeaways? I want to keep hearing from you. Sign Doug McDermott. No, I don't think so. I don't like how that fits off the top of my head. 25-30 as long as they are good shots. Yeah, they're doing this thing, and Coach talked about it a couple days ago. They want the guys to get to the corners as quickly as possible. The corner 3 is the shortest 3 on the floor, as we know. But De'Aaron Fox has been excellent at that. One thing that I thought was really good up until yesterday that I don't think enough people are pointing out is with the whole idea of getting pace back up. The Kings want to be in the top 5 in the NBA in pace. It's really great to see Domantas Sabonis actually being the one that is setting the pace for this team. He really is. And I mean that because he's getting down the court. He's sealing his defender off. If that dude's ahead of you and you're a guard, you better get your ass in gear and get him the basketball. And that's happened more than a few times in the first few preseason games. Yesterday, not so much. Again, a really difficult one to swallow if you are the Kings, and a very confusing one if you are a Kings fan. How does that happen? Coming off of 2 pretty darn good games, all things considered, against the Warriors. Because don't look at the final score when it comes to the preseason. Don't look at the final score. The Kings won the first half of the first preseason game against the Warriors, and that was a well-played game. They didn't do bad on Friday night in the first half against the Warriors. 3-ball, still a little bit of a problem. I've got my thoughts on that game. In fact, I chart every shot, y'all. See that? Every single shot is charted. So I'm tracking that stuff closely. Didn't think it was a bad showing. In fact, first half, and that's where the starters played predominantly. They came out, started the third quarter. They had 15 points off of Golden State's 13 turnovers. They were winning the battle in the paint 20-12. I thought that was really good. And even last night, talking about turnovers, Portland scored 33 points on the Kings' 27 turnovers. It's insane. And I saw that Dennis put this up there, and I'm going to put a massive asterisk next to it. Bench scoring, yes, massive problem. If you look at the bench scoring with this Kings team over 3 preseason games, it's not good. But remember, Malik Monk was out for 2 of them. That makes a big difference. And then yesterday, a bright spot for me, a really big bright spot, was Jordan McLaughlin. I thought that he came out for his first time in a Kings uniform, and he played pretty damn well. He knocked down a couple of threes. I thought his pace was on. I thought his physicality was on. Thought he did really good with that second unit. So I think what you're seeing starting to firm up as this team sits is a 10-man rotation. If the Kings started the season today, assuming both him and Trey Lyles are healthy, here's your rotation. It's, your starting 5. It's Malik Monk. It's Alex Len. It's McLaughlin. It's Trey Lyles. And then maybe that 10th is like an Isaiah Crawford if the season started today. That's what you've got to think, especially based off of what coach has been doing with the rotations. He tightened it up greatly yesterday until the massacre happened and things got out of hand. In fact, I'm not even going to dwell on it. I've got all the audio queued up. No need to do it. You guys know your stuff. In fact, let's put the stats up really quick for you as we continue to talk. But yes, Jordan McLaughlin, I thought he looked really, really good. Trey Lyles, that's what I wanted to get to. Trey Lyles today, the Kings, as they ended practice, were doing a 3-point shooting competition. He was participating in that. So that is good to know. Now, he's not cleared for any contact, but the fact that Trey was out there shooting with the guys, I like to see that. Kind of like Kevin Huerter before he got cleared last week. He had been out there doing some of that stuff with the team. So how close is Trey? We'll have to see. But Payne, you want to dwell on it for a while. Well, if you want to dwell on it, we can dwell on it. I don't think there's really... Okay, you only shoot 14 free throws. That's a problem. Let's dwell on that. On top of that, you only make 10 of those 14. 71.4%. That's a problem. The Kings had been doing really well in the offensive rebounding category and keeping their opponents off the offensive boards. Not so well yesterday. Portland had 12 of them. So that's a problem there. Steals through the roof against the Warriors, only 9 last night. 14 by Portland. That was more the Kings turning the ball over than Portland getting out and playing hard defense. And I know I don't want to take anything away from this Portland team. Portland came into Sacramento. They were ready to play. They were the better team yesterday, but the Kings are a better team than Portland, period. End of story. Derek, they might have tried some new things yesterday and it didn't work. I want the ball in DeRozan's hands more. Well, this is the balance, though. This is what everybody has to realize. And I've been saying this since game 1 of the preseason. The Kings are not going to show you everything in the preseason. They're not. It'd be dumb to put all of your sets, all of your different cuts that you're going to do with DeRozan, show all of the spots that he wants to get to. Now, sure, you could watch tape of DeRozan's career and you could figure out what spots on the floor he likes, but there is a difference in getting him to those spots. And a bright spot, I thought, over the first couple of games, excluding yesterday, was, you remember how many times last year the Kings just got a little bit out of control, where it got a little bit hectic. They're taking bad shots. I mean, Chris Duarte, that was his MO last year. This dude couldn't throw a pea in the Pacific. And then once or maybe once every 3 games, Mike Brown would hit the emergency fire lever, pull it, and put Chris Duarte in the game. And this dude starts hucking up 3 or 4 triples in the matter of 3 minutes. You don't need that. You don't want that. I don't care if it's a flowing offense. I don't care if it's positionless and it's about reads. That's not the dude in those situations that you need shooting the ball. And the Kings got a little up and down in the first 2 Warriors games. And I don't have a problem with Mason Jones. I love Mace. Anybody that watches this show, you know that I love Mace. But he's been quick to shoot the 3, really quick to shoot the 3. He's worked on his game a lot. He's worked on his 3 a lot. To me, some of those 3s probably need to go somewhere else. Now, what I liked about all that is when Mason started doing that and the Kings were spraying it around, you know what happened? The Kings went to iso ball. They went right to DeMar DeRozan. And DeMar went to work. He posted up, shot his fadeaways, and slowed the team down, which is exactly what you have a DeMar DeRozan to do. That's part of his job description. And so I would say Harrison Barnes partially did that last year for the Kings, not as well as DeMar does. But there's a lot to critique. But again, you're not going to get the full package of what the Kings are doing. So I take all of that into account. Like when Andrea asked me, are you worried about what you saw? I've got to think about all that before, I come out here and say, yeah, no, you guys should be worried. This is a peek into the future. No, it's really not. It's discouraging. You don't want to see that, but you clean it up and you hopefully don't see it again. And they've got an opportunity tomorrow night. They are back on the court. And I would think, I've not listened to the audio from practice yet today, but I've got to think Coach at Utah tomorrow night is going to try to go the same route, play the starters a little bit more, try to get them a full game. If there is a game that you are going to try to get them in for a full game, tomorrow night, in my opinion, is that night. If it's close, that's where that discretion matters. Now, the Clippers game that wraps up the preseason at the Intuit Dome, pull it back. That's where you get your young guys in. Don't play your starters as much. So tomorrow night is the one that I am paying attention to. But again, Jordan McLaughlin, I thought he looked really, really good. Tell me what you all thought. I know Bain said that as well. Look, I think Isaiah Crawford, he played 13 minutes yesterday. I think, as I said earlier in the broadcast, he does those little things for this team. I think he fits in well with what this team does. He almost is a pseudo, in my mind, a little bit more talented Chuck Hayes for you old school Kings fans. Just does kind of that little stuff around the rim that they need and on the perimeter, but he's undersized. He's undersized. And that is a little bit of a problem. When you're undersized at that position, you got to make up for it with the hustle. You got to make up for it with that dog mentality that we keep hearing about. But I like what I see out of him. Could he be playing his way into some type of early season minutes for this team, depending on Trey Lyles? All that stuff to be decided. But again, yesterday, man, the Kings, not good. The starters, minus 100 in the plus minus column. Minus 100, y'all. Minus 100. Kevin, I'll be at the game tomorrow night, stepping in for repping the Kings. Good for you, Kevin. Love it, dude. You're making it out to Utah, huh? How about the GM survey putting Utah ahead of the Kings as a harder place to play? How's that hit you, Kings fans? Kevin, give me the report on that. I know that it's preseason, but let me know what the building it feels like. Sometimes you hit your ceiling so fast, there's no room for improvement, and then mentally you start losing it. Dennis, you talking about yesterday? You think the Kings have hit their ceiling, my man? Dennis, if the Kings playbook in their schemes was a book that's this thick, and this is a theoretic example because the Kings play a lot, they don't do a lot of set plays and whatnot. But if it was this thick, Dennis, you've seen about this much this season, this preseason, about that much, especially on defense. So you got to keep that in mind. I've said it. Jerry Reynolds continues to say it. The zone defense is going to be big for this team this year. That's how they're going to make up for their lack of size. And the Kings played the zone, or at least last year, they played it pretty darn well. So you've seen it a few times in the preseason. In fact, in the second preseason game against the Golden State Warriors, the Kings went to zone at the start of the second quarter, and it did exactly what it's supposed to do. It kind of slowed the Warriors up a little bit. It took time off the shot clock. It made the Warriors adjust. That's what it is. It's throwing a wrinkle at you in real time when you've, for the last 8 minutes, been guarded man to man and you're running your sets and you're trying to make adjustments. And then all of a sudden the Kings drop into zone out of man and man. Then it's like, oh, crap. Which zone offense are we going to get into? Wait, you got to get over here. You got to go there. And before you know it, there's only 12 on the shot clock and you're getting a bad shot. And so all that plays into all this, Dennis. I just don't think so. No, certain players, when they come in and have a nice start to their career, but then as a career moves forward after the rookie season, it hits a decline. Okay, so which players are you talking about? I'm just curious. I mean, I have a hard time putting any player into that nutshell in today's NBA. I have a really hard time on that timeline. If you're talking about 1 year, that's really, I could name so many players that you could say that about initially, and then they have excellent careers. In fact, I've said it. Jerry said it. Watch the hell out for Davion Mitchell in Toronto. Watch the hell out. Davion was a square piece asking to be put through a round hole with the Sacramento Kings team. His skills and his skill set, more specifically, and his strengths did not play as well to what the Kings do with their schemes. You get him more in a traditional set like Toronto runs, different player. And in fact, when you took the leash off of Davion and you let him play and you knew there was nothing looking over his shoulder, if he made a mistake, he wasn't going to get pulled out of the game. Look what you got at the end of the season last year from him. He was pretty damn good. Really good. Let's see. We're keeping going again. The news. Jalen McDaniels traded, according to Shams, to San Antonio, along with a second round pick. What was Jalen making this year? Jalen is making, I got to go back to my Kings salaries really quick. Got that right here. Jalen was making, it was not that much. It was $4.74 million. So that is off the books as of right now for the Kings. But remember, with the Isaiah Crawford, so a couple of other considerations really quick. With the Isaiah Crawford situation, he's a two-way player, which means if he was to play himself into a role with this team, you could theoretically still have him start the season as is on that contract, but there's a maximum amount of games that you can play up with the NBA team as a two-way player. Further, two-way players are not eligible for the playoffs. So if he does play himself into a role, much like Keon Ellis, his contract would have to be converted. So keep that in mind. Boogie Ellis is another one a lot of people are talking about. I think Boogie looks good. In fact, if you want to talk, and maybe Dennis, maybe you're talking about Colby Jones. I'm thinking that's what Dennis is talking about guys hitting their ceiling. And with the development in Stockton and with the program they've got going, Gabe Harris now officially the GM. He gets the interim removed off of him. I'm confident that there is still room for Colby to grow. Now, the problem here, Dennis, is Colby's growth timeline does not meet the Kings timeline. The Kings need somebody right now. And I've had this conversation over the last week. I don't think this Kings team has a true point guard on its roster. Not a single one, including De'Aaron Fox. So, would a true point guard be good for this team? I don't know. It's certainly yesterday's result doesn't make that decision or change my thinking on it. But as for Colby, because of the injury to Devin Carter and the fact that I think this is really going to be a redshirt year for Devin, I don't think you're going to see a lot of Devin Carter. In fact, I would be surprised if the Kings need Devin Carter. Like if we as fans are counting the days until this guy can get on the court, then the season is not going to plan, if that makes sense to you. And that's no shot at Devin Carter. That's no shot at anybody else. But if that's the situation, then things aren't right. That means you've got injuries. That means this team's underperforming, a number of things. The ideal situation with him, because not only are you coming back from an injury, it's your rookie year in the NB freaking A adjustment. And I get his adjustment might be a little easier because his dad played in the NBA for so long. But Colby, back to him. Yes, I'm concerned about Colby. Now, if Andre reworded the question and said, are you concerned about Colby? Yes, I am concerned, but nowhere in the neighborhood of he's hit his ceiling. Absolutely not. And let's not act like either that Colby was a first round pick, a lottery pick. He was a second round pick, y'all. A second round pick. I would, if I was making the decisions for this team and you put my feet to the fire and you said you either have to keep Colby Jones or Boogie Ellis, I would keep Boogie Ellis right now. Doesn't mean I don't think Colby can't be successful in the NBA. I don't think he's done. I just think what Boogie brings to the game matches more with what Mike Brown is trying to do and trying to preach, which is physicality. Now, we're making decisions that really should have no effect on the Kings season. We're talking about decisions that should have no effect because those guys aren't going to be getting minutes. They shouldn't be getting minutes with the team that you have in place now in the rotation that is in place. So, and as for the Jordan McLaughlin thing, really quick, I want to go back to one point. Somebody hit me up on the X and they're like, well, do you think he can play with Malik Monk? Are you worried about him out with the second unit? I don't see a scenario, especially in the backcourt, that you're ever going to see outside of foul trouble, injuries. I think at all times this season, you're going to have either De'Aaron Fox, Domas, or DeMar DeRozan on the floor at all times. One of those three will be on the floor. Maybe throw Malik Monk into that category. One of those four will be on the floor at all times this season. So I don't think, I know you're not going to see a full second unit rotation like you see in the preseason. So a lot going on here on the Kings court. Hey, don't forget, we're going to be back here at 4:00. Grant and I, we're going to get you ready for Monday Night Football. We're going to talk about the weekend. We're going to talk about the Kings. A lot to talk about. And also on that show, you get to choose Grant's rant. I'm not kidding. It's called A Rant with Grant. So what it is, if you have a better idea for Grant's rant than what he already has planned, put it in the chat. If he thinks it's better, he will choose your rant, or he will choose your topic and do a rant on it on the spot. That is sponsored by EDH Motors. So make sure you come back. That will happen at 4 o'clock. And also, again, a huge thanks to Bennett's Westside Grill for sponsoring today's episode of the King's Court. Don't forget about their amazing, I literally mean that, amazing happy hour, 2 to 6 o'clock. Their sips and tastes, 60 different wines by the glass. Also, full menu still available. Prime cuts of seafood, steak. They bring the steaks before they cook them. If you order a steak, they bring the steak to you. If you get the New York Prime, you get the filet. They let you pick the steak, and it is incredible. They'll cook it however you want it. Also, if you got any office parties coming up, if you have a Christmas party coming up, think about Bennett's, because they have beautiful private dining rooms at each of the locations. They'll get you set up. Make sure you go to bennettsrestaurants.com for more information. Check out all of their specials and the menus and so much more. And keep your eye out, too, for seasonal menus. They throw those out once in a while, and I love those. They had a great seasonal Mexican menu in May. So anyways, Grant and I back at 4 o'clock. Let's get back to the chat. A lot still on the Kings, I am sure. Let's see, Dennis, and then we're getting too close. Kevin, we'll go there. The Delta Center sucks. It feels like how Arco Arena used to feel back in the day. I miss Arco, man. There's something sexy about that building. Arco, oh man, it's the smells, the different colored seats, the cracks in the floor, the steel and the wooden step all in one, the second level concessions. Oh, I miss that building. I mean, seriously, like, would you have rather been at the last game at Arco or the first game at Golden One Center? And I realize some of you have probably been to both, but I would have for sure taken the last game at Arco. I love Golden One, don't get me wrong, but something about Arco, man. Something about Arco. Dennis, Tyreek Evans, Roy, not necessarily means you have to be a rookie of the year. Just players should come back or come in the league are shooting 40% from downtown. Okay. I kind of get what you're saying there. Brandon Roy, man, that kid was a talent. In fact, Brandon Roy played for UW when I was at SDSU. You know who else played for UW when I was at SDSU? Nate Robinson. I'll never forget. They came to us. We were playing at home, and pregame warmups, not even layup lines and that, like out on the floor shooting before the game, before some of the fans get there. We had this knucklehead on our team. His name was Jared. He was a walk-on. And he was flashy. He thought, like, the kids used to say, all that in a bag of chips. Like, he just thought he was God's gift to basketball and women. And he never played a lick. In fact, he was awkwardly uncoordinated. But anyways, he would always sometimes just open his mouth and talk too much trash to certain people. Brandon Roy was out there shooting, and he was talking. I forget what he said to Brandon. He just kept mouthing at him. And I'm sitting there on the bench listening, and I'm like, you better fucking stop, dude. And then he started talking trash to Nate Robinson. What's Nate Robinson do? He runs up in warmups and does a backwards dunk like right in Jared's face. Jared's sitting there on the bench. And then we get to the fourth quarter. The game is close. Brandon Roy takes over. Brandon Roy, he shot a fadeaway, and his ass came right into Jared's face. And because he got pushed back, and he just turned over his shoulder, and he's like, kiss it. And it was just the ultimate payback. And even though he's talking crap to him, like one of my teammates, like I can't say I wouldn't have done the same thing. That dude wasn't running his mouth, or if that dude was running his mouth the way Jared was. So good job. Good job bringing up Brandon Roy. There's a memory. And then there's her career. Yeah, I'm not there. I don't know where you at, Dennis. What did they get in return for him in the pick? Yet to be announced. I have not seen anything, but I have not looked since I've been on the air. So yeah, that's why. So that's the going rate. Dennis is right there. Remember with the Davion contract? They had to give up a second round pick too. That's the going rate to free up salary in today's NBA because of the new CBA. And by the way, the GMs in the GM poll said that's the first rule that they want to change if they could change it. And the new CBA just started. They've got what? Another 6 years of it. So now we can sign a player or trade for one. You could have done that already. Kevin, best thing I read today is Kwame Brown dissing Bronny James. Well, why is he going after Bronny, man? I told you last week, Kev, my problem isn't with Bronny. My problem's with Braun. Bane, no true center or point guard. Well, I guess Alex Len is a true center. Yeah, Alex Len, I would say, is a true center for sure. Look at how, and this is got to be an adjustment. You're not running a DHO through Alex Len ever, ever, ever. And they tried to do it a couple times in the Warriors games. What they got to do is get that pick and roll going again. And I thought Scal got called for an awful offensive foul in the Warriors game. It was a moving screen. He wasn't moving at all. And he was not moving at all. But again, here's the biggest thing. And I'm going to go back to Andrew's big question. Are you worried? My biggest thing is consistency. Okay, I get the Warriors adjusted a little bit to the Kings when it came time for Friday's game because they saw them 2 days before, right? And then Portland, who you haven't seen at all, the consistency of where this offense begins on the floor is so important. And that has not been there. You can't allow teams, much like the Golden State Warriors, who are smaller than or about as big as you. You guys are both small teams. You can't let them push you off your spots. Look at the first half of the Golden State game in San Francisco, the first quarter, I should say. The Kings were initiating offense behind the three-point line. Look at the first quarter of the first preseason game in Sacramento. They were initiating offense at the elbow, free throw line extended inside the three-point line. And what happened? DeMar DeRozan ate them up because DeMar's shots are mid-range. He loves the mid-range. And I know he shot the three okay in the preseason, but that's where the offense has got to be. And when I go back to the consistency, can both units do that together? Because the second unit isn't doing that. And I get you're not going to do the same things when DeMar isn't on the floor, but I want to see what their consistent thing is. Is it a little bit more spread and more pick and roll? And the reason I don't have heartburn is because you were without Malik Monk. I know he played yesterday. He was a -17. Again, the King starters yesterday, -100 in the plus minus column combined. But what's it going to be? I can't, we can't see the Kings offense do what it did last year, where it was stagnant and looking around and pushed out, because we know how that ends. We saw how last season ends. So that's the consistency I want. That's what I'm looking for with the game against Utah tomorrow. Can they initiate their offense where they want to? Bane, but maybe that's the way the NBA is going. More pointless ball. Yeah, De'Aaron's talked about it. He shot just about a tick over 43% from beyond the three-point line last year with the catch and shoot, and he is really good at that. Some of the scrimmages this training camp, he hit a few of those where just catch and shoot. So I think that is part of it. Yeah, absolutely. And I think the Kings, they've got to, and they have the ability to do it with everybody on the court. De'Aaron said it a couple days ago, or it was either it was after the first preseason game. De'Aaron was asked about the positionless thing, and he said, yeah, all guys, everybody needs to know 4 spots on the court. However, I need to know the point guard spot when it comes to our set plays. De'Aaron's the one that's going to be initiating your set plays. Yes, dude, you had a good weekend. We talked about it a little bit ago. Dude, name me 4 Trailblazers, Horse. Don't throw the Trailblazers in there. You could say your Ducks and your Niners, but you're going to go Blazers now? Come on, man. That's fine. You can be happy. Last at Arco. I'm thinking Jalen Suggs was going to be like Brandon Roy. Okay, Derek. Great story. Yeah, Brandon. And here's the thing about Brandon Roy. Dude never talked trash. That was the coolest thing about it. He never talked. Haunted Horse. You watched Brandon Roy. He played his career in Portland. Dude didn't talk trash. Dude was like Keegan Murray. So to get under his skin to that level and to do that, I loved it. I silently loved it. So I thought it was cool. Horse Iron Maiden is in Portland tonight. Okay, now we're talking concerts. Love it. World Travelers. All right. No, I say no. And I know you're scouring the internet right now. Name me 4 Portland Trailblazers on the roster right now. 4 of them. 4, Horse. You know 2. I know you know 2. Klingon and what's his name? Now I'm drawing a blank. Scoot. You know Scoot and Klingon. Who do you know outside of that? You know, come on, Horse. Come on, man. Yes. Way to go. Brandon Roy was one cool cucumber. Yeah, not a lot of trash talk. No, that's what made it so cool when he did that. Again, what a great, Scoot. I just gave you Scoot. I love Horse. He's the best. Storming the field after week 6 win. Act like you've been there before, Ducks. Uh-oh. Taking some trash talk. Hey, we're going to get out. Grant and I are going to be back in just under an hour. Hopefully you can join us. Much more of this with the Kings Talk. We'll be taking your calls. We'll be getting you ready for Monday Night Football. We can talk about baseball. The ALCS kicks off here in just about hour and a half. And then you've got Jets and Bills, which is the Monday night matchup, and lots of Kings. Ton of Kings talk. We're going to try to put the pieces together with the move with Jalen McDaniels out of here, headed to San Antonio. And again, I'm going to go back to this really quick. This is not news. Anybody that's waking up and reading ESPN.com about De'Aaron Fox not re-signing, this is not news. That is back from June 24th. This has been out there for a very long time. He's looking to bet on himself to get a larger contract, and he wanted to see how the roster would develop. And what happened? The roster has developed. So to me, it's a non-story. I'm not sure why it got all fired up and inflamed again. De'Aaron's trying to get as much money as he can, as he should. He deserves it. So anyways, all right, we'll be back just under an hour. Thanks for tuning in to King's Court. Make sure you are subscribed to If You Don't Like That. Hit that QR code. It's where all of our programming lives. Don't forget, pregame, halftime, postgame, every game this year, most halftimes, Jerry Reynolds will be joining us. We are back for our 3rd season. Can't wait to get it underway. We've done a couple of post-game shows already and had a lot of fun with those. Regular season, we ramp it up. So make sure you're subscribed. Also, do me a favor. Make sure you're following the King's Court on the X and subscribed on Amazon, Apple, Spotify, whatever your preferred podcast medium is. You will find the King's Court with Rhino there. You also not just get this show, not just this audio, you get morning shoot-arounds there as well, where you get my thoughts. You get what I'm hearing from my sources. You get audio from the team. So you want to make sure you're subscribed to that. I've seen a huge uptick in subscribers the last month. Get in there. It's completely free. Not charging you a dime right now. I would love to have you come in, check that out. It is a fun listen, and we have a good time over there as well. All right, that's it. We are out of here. We are getting to the 4 o'clock show. Make sure you join Grant and I. Don't forget a rant with Grant at 4 o'clock. You get to choose his rant. So it's pretty cool. Brought to you by EDH Motors. Would love to have you back, taking your calls and all that and so much more. 4 p.m. Grant and Rhino. Make it a great day. Go Kings. Light the damn beam. Stay the hell away from Levine. Court is dismissed.